Good morning, traders and investors. Welcome to this November 15th edition pre-market prep plus Wednesday with Wedbush. We are joined by Koujalgi. He covers enterprise software over there at Wedbush. He'll be joining us in just a few minutes. Let's just run down the some of the futures here. S&P's up 11 and a half handles at 45.2275, but we've already leaked 20 handles off this pre-market high, folks. So leading a little bit to the bear side here today. The buck killed yesterday, trying to rebound today. Pair of lows in the same area, just under 104. Bonds are down. Little bit of sell the news on the bonds. You got a double top, the 115 handle, no clear support. Crude down almost a buck at 77.30. Gold up a buck 90 at 1968.40. Silver in the green by 30 cents at 23.43. And Bitcoin futures, they are up $940 at 36,305. Let me stop the screen share. Bring in Taz Koujalgi over there at Wedbush Securities. Taz, how you doing today?
Good, Joel. Thanks for having us.
All right. Well, let's just talk, big picture here. Big
Sure.
macro, right? Interest rates having a lot of effects on some of the stocks that in your area with the debt and stuff. And we get some decent numbers, just from the perspective of the stocks that you cover. Do we have an improving economic picture?
I think it's not getting worse. Is it getting better? I'm not so sure at this point. I mean, the check that we've had in the last, I guess, few weeks, we've heard that things are stable. We might not have as big a budget flush as we normally have at the end of the year. So things are stable, slightly getting better, but I'm not prepared to call a full recovery back to where we were, before things started slowing down. So stable, not getting worse, not getting a lot better, but I guess there are yellow shoots, not green shoots yet.
Okay, I like that. I like that taking the middle road, something maybe I should do a little bit more often. But okay, let's just talk about some stocks that man had some big earnings moves here,
Yeah.
and they're continuing here, and I kind of mix these up a little bit, but let's start with Datadog here. Gap and
Sure.
go off earnings, and give us your short term and longer term outlook for this.
Yeah, I mean, short term, the stock has had a great move. If you look at the earnings, the post earnings move there, big move from I think close to 80 to almost now above 100. Long term, one of the best companies in the space. What they do is observability, which is the monitoring of your applications, monitoring of your hardware. And as customers move to the cloud, you need more and more of monitoring of their applications. So these guys are leader in that space in cloud monitoring. And what is also happening is the last 12 months, we saw a bit of a pause in customers moving to the cloud, consuming their resources in the cloud. That's coming back now. The macro-driven pullback that we saw and this is not just Datadog. We heard this from people at AWS. We heard this from Microsoft and Azure. That customers are rationalizing their cloud spend. If they're spending, $10 last year, now they're looking at spending the $10, but over a longer duration. So we've had that little bit of digestion or rationalization in cloud spend, which impacted Datadog early in the year. But now we've heard that that's coming back. You have cloud workloads being migrated again. AWS had good numbers last time they reported. So cloud migrations are beginning to happen again. Customers are spending more money on the cloud. They're consuming more cloud resources, and all that benefits Datadog. They're a cloud only, they're a cloud focused company to help you monitor your applications and hardware in the cloud. So as you have cloud growth, Datadog is one of the best companies to play that cloud growth.
Okay, and your current rating and target?
We have a buy on the name on Datadog. I forget my target. I believe it's 120.
Okay, all right. The way that thing moves, it could be there soon. Okay,
Yeah.
another stock that I think looks, a more constructive chart on the longer term here.
Mhm.
CrowdStrike got little bit overdone at 300 and back a little overdone at under 100. Now back over $200 here.
Yeah.
Big 3-day move in CrowdStrike. What's your outlook for that?
Yeah, no, I've loved the stock for since I've covered it. One of the best names in security. And just to give you some background on CrowdStrike, they were primarily an endpoint security company, securing laptops and desktops, but now they've diversified their portfolio. They do everything from cloud security to identity security. So broad portfolio in terms of security products. The spend spending in security is moving towards consolidation. CIOs and CTOs are tired of dealing with multiple different vendors. So companies like CrowdStrike benefit from that consolidation. As you have CTOs looking to spend their money with less number of vendors, how does a big beneficiary of that consolidation theme? So excellent product, broad portfolio. I think there was some concern about their second half guide on whether that's a little bit aggressive, but I think the checks have come in pretty strong. So the stock has had a really good move in the last 2 months. I think it was at 164 for the longest time, and then they had a conference in Vegas. We were there. Very strong feedback from the people who spoke to at the conference. Good feedback from the channel partners. So I think they're doing all the right things in terms of adding more products to their portfolio, displacing incumbents like Symantec and McAfee, which have more legacy products. So they have a lot of drivers for growth, multiple products, multiple new customer adoption, upsell and cross sell. So this is the one that we like in our security coverage.
Okay, all right. MongoDB here, same thing, kind of hanging out near the low of the move, gets the boost off earnings, well off the all-time high here. What's your outlook for MongoDB?
So this is similar to Datadog in the way that it's also levered to cloud growth. So as customers move more and more of their workloads to the cloud, they need a database in the cloud to run those applications. So this is similar in terms of thematic outlook, where as you have more cloud migrations, it benefits MongoDB. So one of the very well-positioned companies in the tech and software space longer term. Near term, I guess the stock has had a strong move, but we'll see what happens with the earnings. They have earnings coming up in the next few weeks. But again, as cloud migrations continue, as cloud migrations restart, and you have customers consuming more and more in the cloud, that benefits MongoDB also. So it's one of the best companies from a competition standpoint. Very few companies do what these guys do. There are a lot of companies that are in that space, but MongoDB is so far ahead of the competitors. I think this is one of the best positioned companies from a competitive standpoint in the cloud database space.
Okay, let's go on to a little bit of a sleeper here, one that's had a nice move so far, trading up a little bit in the pre-market, but just hasn't participated but a lot of other stocks. SentinelOne, is it a dog for a reason, or is there a reason for hope in this company?
It's had a few issues in terms of execution. It's had a few issues in terms of competing against some large companies like CrowdStrike and Microsoft. So there's a concern that they're competing with some of the biggest players in security. They'll probably have some challenges as they do that. But one of the best companies from a technology and product standpoint. They've had some execution challenges. That's why you've seen some quarters where things were not as good as people expected. But we've had 2 good quarters now. They missed their numbers, I believe, in the April quarter, and then they've had 1 good quarter after that. I'm sorry, and they'll report the October quarter soon. So far, again, I think security trends are strong from a demand perspective. These guys are one of the 2 players in endpoint security, along with Crowd, that are well positioned in that space. A little bit of concern about execution and some challenges about competing against bigger players like Microsoft and CrowdStrike. So that keeps people a little bit more cautious on the name. But I think given where the stock is, given the risk reward, the upside downside here is very much skewed to the upside. So we like the stock. We have a buy rating on the stock. A price target, I believe, is 22. So quite a bit of an upside there from these levels.
Okay, all right. Let's go to data here, and we'll take a look at Snowflake and look at the recent price action. All these charts are looking the same here. A gap and go off earnings, a little consolidation like the mark yesterday. Another gap and go here in Snowflake. Give us your short-term, longer-term outlook for Snowflake.
Yeah, again, this is a cloud levered story. Snowflake is a cloud-based data warehouse company, so it's similar to MongoDB, but they do something different in the database, but in the same space, but a little bit different than MongoDB. So again, long-term prospects very favorable given the cloud story. As customers move to the cloud, Snowflake benefits from that. I think near term there were some concerns about customers growing the consumption on the platform. So that has impacted their momentum in the recent quarters. I think that's been a major overhang on the stock. I think, but as again macro improves, as customers start consuming more resources on the cloud, that benefits Snowflake. So we're a little bit cautious on the name. We have a neutral rating on the stock because of the valuation, because of some of the concerns about competition. But I think long-term trends still very favorable for Snowflake as well.
Now, I see a stock on the list here, Ring Central, and I'm not sure what your rating is on it, but to talk about how this stock fits into your coverage, and is this one of the laggards maybe you want to keep an eye on? RNG.
It is. Given the risk reward, I mean, this is getting interesting now. So this is a company that is in the what's known as the UCaaS communication software space. So
Yeah,
they
yeah.
provide phone in the cloud. So instead of having a phone on in your office in your data center, you can. This is the enterprise phone system, what's known as the PBX, right? The traditional phone office phones. These guys provide that in the cloud. The concern here has been competition from Zoom and from Microsoft. So Microsoft and Zoom are both competitors. They have a lot more products. They can bundle those products along with their broader portfolio. Ring is more of a, it's I won't call it a single product, but they're more narrow in terms of their portfolio. So I think the concern here is as they go against the likes of Microsoft and Zoom, can they compete? Pricing has been a concern here in the space overall because of the aggressive pricing that we've seen from Microsoft and Zoom. Pricing has come down in the space. That's been a concern overall. But I think given where the stock is today, they're buying, they're improving their margins, they're cutting their cost. The stock used to trade on a sales multiple, about a year or 2 years ago. Now they actually have free cash flows and margins. You can value the stock on a free cash flow basis. So I think a lot of the concern, a lot of the bad news is priced into the stock at this point, and they also have margins now. So it is getting interesting at this point. We'll wait and watch what happens, but I think at this level, it is. I would say risk reward is not too bad here.
Yeah, I mean, from the technicals, I can't believe this stock was what over four hundred
400 at
dollars,
one point, yeah.
449. Holy mackerel! Well, you brought up Zoom, and I got to bring it up here once again. Off the low of the move, ran into problems at 64 yesterday. That actually looks like a nice level here. I always thought, I mean, I like Zoom. I use Zoom. I'm just a kind of a simple guy, so Zoom works. I know it had that pandemic punch. Just bunching up here on the monthly charts here at 63 bucks, and it IPO'd. It's funny. Oh, the round tripper. Where did this IPO? Oh, it's actually 59.94. So we have it. Oh, wow. Found support just above that.
Yeah.
Well, 59.35. Talk to us about Zoom Communications. Are you in it? Or do you like it just like Kathy Wood?
Uh, I'm a little bit concerned about the online. So they have two broad revenue streams. They have the enterprise customers who buy the annual contracts, companies who use Zoom for their employees, and then you've had this big inflection in smaller customers who bought a lot of Zoom during the pandemic, right? They're the customers who bought it through the online portal, through their credit cards. What is happening is as we all go back to the office now post pandemic, a lot of those customers are churning off the platform, right? They don't want to spend that money now that we're all back to a more normal in-person world. So growth has stabilized in the last 2 quarters, but I think there's still a big cohort of online customers, the small mom and pop customers. As the macro gets more challenging, they still might decide not to spend money on Zoom and they might churn out. So I'm a little bit concerned about the potential for that cohort of customers who are smaller and more macro sensitive to churn out the platform, and that might drag the growth down. So enterprise growth I think is holding up. They have new products. They launched Zoom Phone about 2 years ago. That's doing pretty well. Like I mentioned, it's competing against Ring Central. They have a new product called Contact Center, which will obviously add more to the growth drivers. But I'm still concerned about a little bit of churn that could come from the smaller customers that bought the platform during pandemic and now might decide to not use it because they don't need it and macro is getting tougher. So if you want to cut costs, maybe I don't need to pay whatever I'm paying for Zoom now. So a little bit concerned about what could happen with that churn going forward.
Okay. Here's a stock, 8x8 Inc. I don't know if I've ever pulled this one up on my chart. Got a pop to start November and a little bit of a fade here. Tell us about this company and the prospects moving forward.
Yeah, this is in the same space as Ring Central and Zoom to some extent. So they also provide a phone service through the cloud. Uh, they pivoted away from growth last year to margins. So growth has slowed down. They're trying to improve their margins, improve some cash flow. They have a lot of debt on their balance sheet. They're trying to pay off that debt with more cash they generate. So again, valuation is very attractive, but they're in a space that is very competitive. I mentioned pricing is an issue with Microsoft and Zoom getting very aggressive. So that's an issue for eight as well. they also cater more to the smaller customers, the mid-market. So, and as macro gets tough, that segment probably is more susceptible to cutting back spending. So a little bit concerned there on 8x8 because of the pricing pressure, the competition, and the fact that they serve more smaller and mid-market customers. Stock is cheap; it's attractive at this valuation level, but I think there's some concern that I have fundamentally on their growth going forward.
Okay, let's go back to finish up with cloud security here. I believe Okta,
Yeah.
once again, gap and go up earnings here. Wow, got whacked in October. I'm not sure if that was some guidance or whatever, but on the road to recovery, can it continue for Okta Inc.?
So Okta, you see that big drop in October. What happened was that they had a breach, I believe, in
Oh,
their
that's right.
in their in their in their in their software. This is not the first time they've had a breach. They've had a few breaches in the last 12 months. So this is raising some concern about the customers and obviously the investors. Um, I think we'll have some issues near term because when a company gets breached, and this has been the third or the fourth time they got breached, not their fault entirely because it's the biggest company in the space, right? So when it's like when hackers want to target somebody, they find the one that is the most popular. So that's why they're being a target for hackers for the last few quarters. So I think there's concern about what could happen this quarter, next quarter, given the breach. But I mean, we like this company structurally. They're adding new products. They have a new product coming out in December. Stock has pulled back, obviously, because of this. We might have some near-term, issues here, but I think structurally, long-term, this is a great company with broad products and a lot of products to sell. So, I like it long-term.
Taz Koujalgi, Wedbush Securities, covering the enterprise software, and it's a tough sector to cover. Got a lot of different things, data, cloud, a lot of different things, but you put it all together very well. Fundamentally, we'll keep an eye, and we hope to speak to you early in 2024. Thanks, Taz.
Sure. Thanks, Joel. Thanks for having me.
Okay. All right. Still the little leak going on in the S&P 500 futures. We're still up 9.25 here. It's a question of can we get back up to that pre-market high? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think you're gonna have to pick an intermediate level in between there. Let me get my charts back up here, all four of them, and we'll be keeping an eye early on, 24.25. Now I know we traded to that in the pre-market trading, but that was yesterday's high. I wasn't paying much attention to the chat here, so I don't know if I missed any stocks for Taz. If I did, please, I apologize here for missing those. But can really only do the stocks that he covers. Glad to see you, EKS, back in the saddle here on this Wednesday. Boom, boom, boom. Donkin Dave, CROX. I saw this thing was down just a couple bucks yesterday. I don't know what is going on. It had a big update yesterday, trading up another 53 cents today. So it doesn't look like you're going to get a check back as of right now. 85.19 is yesterday's high. And yesterday's high and yesterday's close was right in there. So if this is just going to be like a banner day for CROX and it's going to get back some of its losses, then I don't want to see this. I mean, okay, you could breach, the top of yesterday's range, maybe breach the close by a little bit, but if you can sustain at least the close here, first 15 minutes, half hour or so, you got to look for a little bit of a check back in the stock. I really can't give you a great level on the for the downside here. But very 84.5. I'll go old resistance, new support here. So a little bit longer term. As far as the dailies go here, next target, they could get this thing rocking and rolling. You could see 87.43 today. That was your high on November 3rd. And yep, let's see here. Boom, boom, 87.43. That stands as the high for the month as well for CROX. So moving on from CROX here. Good morning, Tennessee Tamadachi. Let's see the IWM. I almost I was looking at this thing and that monthly chart was just staring at me here. Let's see if we get a check back in here. I don't get, and Dennis is right. I mean, this was the move here. the big rally. I wonder if this was 50%. Let's see if we can get this on the dailies. Fibonacci retracement lines. I know it's after the fact, and I usually don't do this, but I just want to look. Yeah, it went through it by, not too much. 168, 168. If you were holding on for the low of the move, not a bad move. But IWM down 16 cents. Let's take a look at that today. Let's get rid of that retracement because that line is really not fair since it already had the retracement. Let's see what happens at the close here. This thing's got to get green at 178.28. I don't know. Yesterday's high is 78.47. So we'll see what happens early on. It doesn't look like it's fading. I mean, it's red on the session. So a lot of room on the downside here. Very important for the IWM to get back, get green, and continue going here. So there's a look at that for you. For the small caps, XRT retail. XRT up 46 cents. Nah, boy, haven't hit that high yet from yesterday. If you're trading this XRT, and I'm not sure what your time frame is on stuff, but boom, let me go big horizontal line here because I mean it, man. This $63. I'm gonna even make this line a little bit thicker. Little bit thicker. Boom, 63. 63 was your high from yesterday, 62.97. Just missed it back here on September 15th. And you hit it right on the kisser here at 63.09. So if you're looking for some follow through here for XRT, you're up 46 cents. You get through 63. Not much in that 63 handle. Let's look at some of your retail stocks. I know Macy's had a big old sell off. We were talking about this area. Check back right to the low of the move and now right back up. Wow, that's interesting. Low of the move, 1064. What did you get to? 1069. Problem is, it didn't give you a couple days to buy it, but that was probably the thing that was going on was the market dynamics. So one more here before we go. I'll do real quick. We'll do real quick here since I missed yesterday. Let's see here. Nike, I saw that got had a good move. Nike up 75 cents, kind of had a weak closing day, 107.10. So the fact that it kind of had weaker near the close, that gives me more emphasis that 107.10 area. Really the old 107.40 area. You want to see it to get back up at that area and hold. That spot's the highs the last two sessions. VFC, boom, boom, boom. Pullback yesterday, up $1.07. Must have some news on it. Pre-market, decent volume trading. Gap fill at 17. Keep an eye on 17. Last stock of the day is going to be Archer Daniels Midland, ADM. And that great monthly support at 70. You're a ways away from that. Not seeing much on the dailies. What would be important for this one would be 74.74. If you can get back, this had kind of had a weaker close yesterday. So they were selling this one yesterday. Boom, 73.86. See where we open here, but if we open it up into yesterday's high, it'd be kind of tempting here. Not much pre-market action. Okay, folks, 9:28 here. We're going to wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed our guest today, Taz Koujalgi, covering enterprise software. I think it Wednesday. I haven't got the official word yet, but the ever bullish Todd Gordon making some good calls in the market, joining us on the closing print.